Hello there, folks. I'm Dan Brown from a sort of interesting life.com. You're joining me on board good old Narrowboat Tilly, and today I want to dial this back and make it a far more simpler video than some of the more complex ones of recent times, and just talk about some of my favourite things about boat life, and not getting too much into the sort of the obvious things or the super hardcore boating things. So really, this is just an excuse to show you a load of pictures and video footage that's all beautiful scenery, I suppose. Now, as I say, I don't want this to just be going, well, I like going boating, and it's great to wake up in the morning sometimes and have a friend on board and be like, right, let's boat down there for a couple of miles and then come back up here, and simple stuff like that. It's all great, and it is all part of what makes up the boating experience. But I want to talk about the more personal things that I just really enjoy. And the first one of our list of 3 today is the simple fact that moving around on the canal means that I have all these different places that I go for supplies and different commutes, and I always talk about the different routes I take in and out of town to go to work or to visit my friends in various places in the area, and how obviously when the boat moves that changes the routes to these different places. Sometimes I end up heading into work from a totally different angle away from town than other times of the year, and really one of the things that I do absolutely love is the little places that I go. For example, at the moment, well, I'm up the top end, like the very top end, almost at Llangollen itself on the canal here. I have a little bakery that I go into and get a load of vegetarian stuff, and it's just lovely stuff. And it's just in Llangollen. I'll put the name on the screen once I have remembered or looked it up on Google Maps. But basically, it's that sort of thing that I love, that when I'm in different areas, because I have different towns and different villages to go and get supplies from, when it comes to the places where there's these little independent shops that do certain things that you can't really find anywhere else, it's just great to be able to like sort of have that, oh yes, I'm up in this area, so I'll start going up to the bakery again. And some people may have seen in the past, I've done videos where I've literally biked about a 3-hour round trip to go to the bakery and then go back up, and that's how I've spent a morning from different places, whereas now it's about a 40-minute walk or so from where the boat is, and then soon enough it will be too far to reasonably come to Llangollen as anything other than a proper full day's trip and day out. But ultimately, as I move down the canal and go to these different places, so for example, a few places just off the top of my head, the general region, you've got Llangollen and the bakery there, then you've got places like Cefn Mawr with a big supermarket, you've got a little at the little town of Trevor, which is right next to the Pont Cysylltu Aqueduct. There's a little corner shop just up in the sort of village there, where it's one of the places that if you don't know the area and if you're just passing through, you're unlikely to ever stumble on it. But they sell the big £1 bags of knickknacks crisps, and my goodness me, those are a rarity, even though they're some of the nicest crisps ever, nice and spicy all the way. But again, it's that simple thing of, when I'm in that sort of area, I always think, oh great, right, once we've moored up there, especially if I've got a friend on board, and it's like, this is what I love about it, that basically just walking to go and get a few supplies, and it's like a treat to be like, oh yeah, they sell the big bags of knickknacks up there, flipping heck, I love them. And almost all of the year around, apart from the couple of weeks, if that I spend in the sort of area around Trevor where it's only a mile or a couple of miles to walk to, I won't have any of these crisps ever. And then when I'm in that area, it's like, oh great, yeah, we'll go up there and grab some of those and stock up for the next couple of weeks. And it's like, just walking across the aqueduct as part of your simple commute to go and just get a few supplies and get a few of these crisps that I'll have for a couple of weeks in the year, and then move along and head out somewhere else on board. And so then as you go down, you have things like obviously Chirk, and going down towards places like Maesbury, where you can go to Knockin, the little village, and there's a very small shop there which is more of a cafe than a shop, and it's like that's a couple of miles bike ride one way. Or when I'm at Maesbury, I'm really close to Oswestry, my hometown as well, so we've got a proper sort of big area there to get proper supplies from if needs be. One of the things that I also absolutely love is having a proper wood-burning stove, so you can just bundle the wood in there and it starts to get really warm on board really quick because it's such a small area to heat. But it's not only having the sound of crackling wood and the smell of wood burning in the air, that sort of stuff, which is all sort of classic boaty stuff, and smoky chimneys as you walk down the towpath. That's all great. But what I love about it is just how red hot it gets. And when I say that it gets hot on board, I mean literally the vast majority of times it gets so hot sooner or later once I've got the fire lit, even in the middle of winter when it could be snow or ice outside, I have to open at least one of the windows, and very often I will have to open the back door itself so that it can let loads of the heat out, because it just gets so warm. And again, because it's such a small area to heat, it doesn't take much once the fire is actually going and throwing out the heat to basically sustain the boat at a really warm level. And I've noticed that every time I stay either at my mum's house or at my friends' houses, I feel really cold in the evenings because I'm used to just being so hot, and particularly if I've been on the boat and it's been bad weather outside. So I've just been in for a few days, practically all day, in really hot environments and got really used to being warm all the time. I mean, even before I was recording this 2-camera bit and just editing some of the clips and putting some of the photos together to record and basically create this video with, I was sprawled out here with me top off, absolutely sweltering with the windows open. And one of the things that I love as well is that when it's really hot on board like that, and you open the back door, especially if it's really cold outside, you can literally go and stand in the sort of stairwell just on the stern, but sort of in the doorway as well, so your sort of head's poking above the roof of the boat looking down the canal, and you can feel the heat rushing out of the doorway and hitting your front, while your back is getting absolutely freezing cold from the real cold conditions outside. And there's nothing cozier than that feeling, I don't think, of like, whoa, it's so cold outside, but flipping heck, it's so warm on the inside. And then when you come back in after it's got a little bit cooler and more comfortable inside, it's just like, this is the life. The final thing I really want to talk about in this video is the actual commutes in and out of work, and just basically the mornings and the evenings or nights. As I've said many times, it's very often I end up cycling into work or cycling to my friend's house or town or whatever I'm doing on that particular day. Can very often be in the hours sort of around 7 a.m, like leaving the boat, sometimes before, sometimes after, sometimes, well, basically any time of day really. But then again, other times I literally, as I've said, there's multiple times in the past, and there'll be times in the future where I'm not leaving town until 2 a.m. So I'm literally biking out to the boat wherever Tilly is at that point, and literally I'll be leaving town or leaving wherever I've been at 2 a.m. in the morning. I mean, particularly if I've worked a late night at work, but I've got a load of stuff I need to sort out for the internet. I'll go to my mum's house, which is nearby the supermarket I work at. Then from there, basically sort out a load of internet stuff, editing videos or anything that needs to be done, replying to comments and so on if I've got loads that have stacked up. And then after that's done, it could be any time of the night. And the amount of times that I get back to the boat after midnight and leave before 7 o'clock or around the 7 o'clock mark is, I mean, it's just a lot basically. But being able to do that means that I have, and I talk about this as well in passing in many videos, I have the crazy thing of having beautiful environments. I mean, sometimes obviously like the weather we've had for the last few months, it's been awful weather and rain all the time, but over most of the year you get some degree of sunrise and sunset, whether it's cloudy, whether it's beautiful clear skies, and it can just be the most calming, tranquil experience, particularly the early mornings and late nights, because you're literally talking about being one of the only people up and the only people moving around in these really rural areas in particular too. So you can just travel. I mean, sometimes I literally can travel between I'd say 5 to 7 miles on some routes and not meet any cars or another human being. And it's like, that's the way that you can start your day, going into work or going in to do stuff like a grown-up that might be stressful, and then coming out and getting back to Tilly can be exactly the same, particularly like I say in these ridiculously late nights I do sometimes, where I can literally be the only person that I see moving around, whether by car, bike or boot or boat or whatever, and it's perfect. What a way to end the day. And there's a clip I'm going to play for you in just a second, which is something I recorded a few days ago. It was one of these spur of the moment clips that I just recorded that normally never gets used, but it really sums up what I try and put across in these videos sometimes, of how relaxing it can be and how it's sort of the perfect way to wind down at the end of the day, having these beautiful, I mean, even in the pitch black darkness, it's great sometimes because you can just think about stuff and you're just travelling down totally isolated with nothing but your thoughts and the towpath or the road or country lane in front of you. And we'll play that in just a second because it's a slightly odd clip, and like I say, because it was just a spur of the moment thing, it's not quite as coherent as I would like it, although my videos never are, to be honest. But hopefully it'll be a nice way to end this video with just the actual sort of raw thoughts on my mind at the time of, well, actually experiencing these thoughts and feelings. So we'll end on that clip. So now I will say my usual thank yous and farewells, and say just thank you so much for tuning into these videos and for watching me for years in the cases of some people. It's just incredible. So thank you so much for that. I hope you enjoy some of the videos I've got lined up in the future, as literally over February there will be a new boat video every single weekday, and I hope that you'll enjoy them because they're not going to be quite the same sort of videos as you're used to coming from me. Please do feel free to add me on Facebook and Twitter for loads of boaty pictures. Please do consider checking out my short Boat Life Kindle books. You'll find links to those in the description and a lot more. If you want to help me out or support these videos, that would be fantastic, and hopefully you'll enjoy the short book too. Until the next time though, I'm going to leave you with this last little clip of me in the sort of cycling daze and haze of the sort of almost misty-eyedness of it all. But until the next time, have a fantastic day. Keep it bike worthy, keep it boat worthy, keep it bakery worthy, and of course, farewell. Right, roll the clip. So as you can see, cycling down the towpath again at night, and I've got to be honest, just being here, cut off from the direct signs of any of the local roads really, and you've got Puncasoffley Aqueduct somewhere in the darkness in that direction, and the little Welsh villages like Llyncysoffley and Cefn Mawr just dotted around the valley. You can see little cars and the headlights going about down the roads in the distance. There's something sort of profoundly quieting about these moments, and it's just, I just can't explain to you what it's like. The feeling that I get very often in these situations where, I don't know if you can see a little car or not, maybe, yeah, just going there and the lights flickering as it's passing behind the trees on the little lane. It's just moments like this where I've got miles to travel and nothing but my own thoughts to basically, well, mull over, and the only real stimulation really. Obviously I'm cycling down, I can only see the spot that's in me headlight, so definitely not going too fast on the towpath next to a freezing cold canal. And there's just, it's almost like some sort of meditative state that you enter into almost, where you cycling and totally sort of fixed on just moving forwards, but in your mind you could be anywhere and thinking about all sorts of different things. And often I'll be pondering, right, when I get back I need to get the fire lit, I need to get this done or that done, and oh, then perhaps maybe just before I get to bed I can do one of my little nighttime videos where I talk in front of the camera and you see all the lights lit up in the darkness in the back of Tilly. And I don't know, they're just these moments, like I say, that help to really sort of, if it's early in the morning I'm heading into work, then it's the perfect way to like get calm and relaxed before whatever you face in the day to come. Or it's the perfect way to just relax and unwind and process whatever's gone on in the day that your mind might want to dwell on. And like I say, by the time I get back to the boat half of the time, I've moved on to much different things and many greater worries or concerns or joys than what's happened in that particular day, and looking forward to the week or days ahead, or even just the night, for maybe 12 hours before getting back on my bike and having to get back and, well, do whatever I've done the previous day all over again. Anyway, I don't know why I started recording this and went on for over 2.5 minutes, but that's just how I feel sometimes. Anyway, yeah, let's carry on with the video if this ever makes it into a final video anyway.